Hi, I'm Nicole. Welcome to My Yoga Time. Thanks for joining me today. Today I have 6 very effective exercises to share with you to relieve low back pain. Obviously, there's lots of causes for low back pain, and these therapeutic exercises are just taking a very general approach to release tension in the low back and in the hips. If any of these exercises don't feel good for your body, feel free to skip ahead to the next one. Conversely, if something does feel good, you can always pause the video and stay longer. So we will be using a chair. You can use any sort of chair, or even the couch in the lounge room will be fine. And I've also got a rolled up blanket. So either a rolled up blanket, nice and tight like so, or a towel will do the trick. When you're ready, let's begin. We're going to come down onto our back and use the chair straight away. So sit with either your left or your right hip next to the chair. And then as you bring your shoulders down, let's see if we can lift up those feet and take them to the seat of the chair. And we'll just take a few breaths to rest here. I invite you to bring your hands to your lower belly. And begin to witness the breath. As you inhale a little deeper, can you feel your hands rise with the breath, breathing into the belly? Take a little pause before you exhale slowly, allowing the belly to fall towards the spine. And just allowing a few moments for the body to relax into this shape. Feel free to stay here. If you would like, you can begin to move through some very gentle and subtle pelvic rocks. So we're starting to just curl the tailbone up slightly and then tuck the tailbone under. Again, just noticing how that's feeling in your low back. And you might choose to continue on for a few more breaths. Otherwise, you can come to stillness. Option to raise the left leg and place the left ankle on the right knee, allowing that knee to fall open. So we're starting to get into the outer hip and the piriformis muscle. Here might be enough for you. Otherwise, you might be able to just slide that right foot a little bit closer. It's going to deepen the pose, and maybe rock just a little from side to side, starting to free up that outer hip, that piriformis muscle. And just notice when you start to move the body, if any tension creeps into the jaw, if the breath becomes short or shallow. Our breath is always a barometer, telling us if we've gone too far, because how we feel is always reflected in the way that we breathe. Often when we're experiencing pain, the breath will become shortened, shallow, and the jaw will tighten. So feel free to stay a little bit longer there if you'd like. Otherwise, you can move to the other side, releasing the left leg and placing the right ankle, left knee. So again, you might hold it still here, a little deeper if you bring the left foot closer. An option to take that rock from side to side, only if it feels good. And what feels good one day might be very different to the next day. So it's really important when you practice these exercises that you meet your body where it is today. Try not to attach to what you did yesterday. You might not move into the same position with as much ease, and that's okay. So if you're enjoying this motion, if you found your sweet spot, feel free to pause the class, stay longer. Otherwise, we're going to prepare to come off the chair. Releasing that right leg. Bringing both legs over to the side, and you might even like to take a moment just to rest on your side in the fetal position. Only pressing yourself up into tabletop when you're ready to move on. So once in tabletop, we'll just have the hands under shoulders, knees under hips. Begin to move through your cat-cow stretches. So very gently moving into a back bend as you inhale, lifting tailbone and the gaze. And then as you exhale, starting to round the spine. Press into the pads of the fingers. Let's continue to move with the breath. This time when you round the spine, pause there. Continue to breathe, just pause the movement. Pressing into the pads of the fingers and ever so slightly, feel as though you're sliding the knees away from one another. And just notice the space that brings into the back of your hips, into the sacrum. Feel free to pause there. Otherwise, you can continue to move with the breath. Inhale into your back bend. Option to bring in a deeper forward bend now. As you exhale and round, lift up the palms, just fingertips on the floor. Keep the spine rounded as you sit back towards the heels. And then as you inhale, lifting up again. So just a few more repetitions. Do what feels good. So yoga is never about how you look. It's always about how you feel. So don't think that you need to fit the body into a specific shape or that your practice will look like mine. We're all wearing different bodies, all with different ranges of motion. Well done. If your knees and hips permit and you're comfortable in a child's pose, you might like to pause here. You can make a pillow with the hands and just allow the back to round. Taking a few breaths into the back side of the body. If child's pose doesn't feel good for you, continue on hands and knees with your cat-cow stretches. Well done. And from here, lifting yourself up, we're going to come down onto the navel. So you can lower down onto the forearms and then onto the belly. Just slide this out of the way. And then have the hands in front, palms are lifted, elbows are lifted, just your fingertips on the floor. And you can take those feet out as wide as the mat if you like. A little bit of tractioning here. Feel as though you're trying to drag your hands back towards your hips. Breathe. Well done, yogis. From here, let's roll over onto our back. And once on your back, we'll use our blanket or our towel. So much like a supported bridge pose, I want you to press into your feet. See if you can lift up your hips and bring in your towel or your blanket underneath the bottom. So your hips are elevated just a little. Feel free to stay here, keeping those knees bent. And again, witnessing the breath, moving the body. Feeling the navel rise as you inhale. A little pause before you exhale slowly. Option to stay exactly as you are, or if it's available for you, let's take a hold of this left knee. You can either keep the right leg bent, or maybe you can straighten and relax that leg. Breathing into any tension you might be feeling. And let's gently draw that right leg back in, release the left, change sides. Again, option to keep left leg bent or straighten and relax. Well done, yogis. Let's bend this left leg now. Lower the right foot back down. Option to stay here as we were for a few breaths, or maybe it's okay for your back if you straighten and relax both legs. If there is a little catching in your low back when you straighten the legs, then bend the knees. Don't try to stretch it out. It could just make things worse. Find your sweet spot today. Well done, yogis. Let's start to bend the knees now if the legs are straight. And just see if you can slide your blanket or your towel further down the mat, more so towards the knees. And then we'll take a hold of those knees. Arms are straight here. All I want you to do is bend the elbows as you exhale and then straighten the arms as you inhale. Well done, yogis. You can take longer there if your body needs. Otherwise, you can lower those feet down to the floor or take the arms out to the side. Feet are about mat width apart. And we're just slowly going to take the knees over to the right. Option to turn your head to the left. And then as you inhale, bring those knees back to center ever so slowly. And exhaling over to the other side. Slow movement, slow breath. Next time those knees come over to the right side, we're going to hold it there in a twist. So letting the knees fall over to the right, and maybe this is enough for you. Or if your hips and low back permit, bring your left knee a little bit higher. Let's stack the knees on top of one another. You can always have a blanket or something underneath your legs for support. And see if you can deepen the breath into the lower belly and the lower back. When you're ready, let's inhale and bring those knees back to center. Take the feet out as wide as the mat again. Exhale, knees over to the left. We're going to come back to the right one last time. And the next time the knees come down to the left side, we'll hold it there. Again, it might feel better for your back and hips to keep the feet as wide as the mat. Otherwise, if you can, stacking right knee on top of the left, moving a little deeper. Keeping the jaw relaxed. And simply deepen the pose by deepening the breath, not by forcing the body. As always, feel free to stay longer. Otherwise, start to bring those knees back to center. And our towel or blanket should be under the knees or thereabouts. You can either rest with the knees bent, feet wide, knees touching, or if it feels okay for your back, you can straighten out the legs and make sure that your prop is there resting either underneath the thighs or underneath the knees. Arms by your side now. And just taking a few moments in this rest position to allow the body to assimilate the positive effects of our practice and to allow the spine to reset. And there's nowhere for the mind to be here, but just quietly observing the breath, moving the body. And when you're ready, yogis, you can start to bend those knees if the legs are straight. See if you can take a hold of the knees again. This time we'll keep the knees and the ankles together and just begin to make a circular motion through the arms. You can change directions. Feel free to stay longer there if you need to. Otherwise, you can simply roll over onto your side and press yourself back up to seated. Thanks for joining me today. I hope that you found some relief in your low back with that class. Please feel free to make any other class requests if there's something that you would like to work on. And if you haven't done so, please do subscribe to the channel. It's the best way to support free yoga on YouTube. Wishing you a lovely day.